Well, hello there. Welcome to the Sandbox live stream. We are having a launch party here. This is day 2 of our pre-sale 4.2 event. Tonight, this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, you may be watching from anywhere and joining us looking to purchase some land today. I would like to talk to you about all kinds of things related to the sandbox. So, any questions that you may have regarding the current land sale, yesterday's event, tonight's event, to this morning's event, it's about 5 a.m. for me, so it does feel like night. I'm here to answer your questions, and also as we get into the coming hour leading up to the pre-sale, I'm going to cover some of the changes in the marketplace so that you can understand roughly what I would expect to be the cost of your lands as you go. Ethereum changes, things like that, which have slightly affected the sale as we go into today. So if you are joining me and you have any questions at any time, I encourage that you put them in the chat, whether you're coming from YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Periscope, Periscope, or other platforms all around the world. We have Theta and things like that. Leave your questions in the chat, and I will answer them as I go. So the first thing that I want to bring up today, this morning, if you're joining for the first time on the live stream, this is pre-sale 4.2. And when I say that this is day 2 of this pre-sale, you can see here on this map that I'm bringing up here, today is September 16th. The pre-sale will start in roughly 57 minutes and seconds, and when it does, we will have 1,095 new lands for sale that will unlock on the map in Region 2 here. Inside of Region 2, hello everyone. Very good. Brazil, love it. In this second region for Wave 2, you can see that there are a good portion of yellow land tiles there. Those land tiles will be an NFT smart contract bundle. That includes one land and some legendary assets related to our partner Care Bears today. So if you are interested in getting some of those legendary assets, as well as some common, uncommon, etc., you'll get a bundle of 4 assets to be used in your games or for trade, whatever your prerogative, and you will get one by one land in the exact place on the map that you see. Inside, there are also some other tiles that you may notice. If this is your first time purchasing, your smart contract purchase is for the tiles that you see on the map. So if you were to click on right next to the number 2 here, where I have my little finder glass, you can see this is what you would call a small estate, which contains 9 NFT lands inside of it. You're offered a small discount beyond the already pre-sale 10% off for purchasing in bulk. So if you get that estate, you get a little bit better discount for buying them all together. If you're interested today in making a purchase that is greater than just 1 land or 2 lands here or there, that may be something you'll want to pursue as one of these 3x3 spaces. We've got some 6x6 spaces available, a few of them today. It looks like, what is that, 6, 7, 8 different 6x6 spaces. So if that's what you're looking for, you have an opportunity. Maybe think about where you're going to want to go. Something that has been very much addressed. We've been addressing it over the last 24 hours. We hear you. People have brought up that yesterday's sale, which had 1,171 lands for sale, sold out maybe too fast. So what happens here, and I recommend the process to purchase to everyone to stay on the website, to not refresh it unless they feel like it's absolutely necessary when the timer hits 0, because the map itself is going to refresh for you, right? So there's kind of a process that I would say to do to give yourself the best chance to see the land that you wanted first. This is a first come first serve land sale, and so we're essentially I want to talk a little bit about what it means kind of to have a first come first serve land sale, how you can mitigate those kind of waiting periods, and or like the mistakes that might make it so you aren't the first one to be served, right? And then how we plan to move forward in the future, or how this has been different from other land sales, and why we're doing it this way this time. So before I do that, I want to talk about some of the kind of main attractions for today's sale. First off, I mentioned that you can get some premium and legendary assets related to Care Bears. We've got the Care Bears NFTs, premium assets for sale in this sale. We have a little video I'm going to play for you here. I'll turn that down a bit. All right, so you can see there in that video some of the NFTs that are going to go on today. You will receive, if you purchase one of the premium lands, or premium land smart contract bundles, you'll receive one common asset NFT of Dibble's Bubble Blower, which is my favorite animation of this sale personally. It's relatively simple, but it has a perfect loop. It looks fantastic. The designers working on that were super proud of this particular one, even if it's listed as the common. It's one of the cooler looking things you can put in your experience, whether that be a game or it be an art showcase, things like that. You receive a Baby Yorg, one Queen Petunia, and Baby Yorg is pretty large, despite the fact that it says baby. It's about twice the size of a Care Bear. I've seen it in the render when we do our live stream. And then we have one of 6 legendary Care Bears assets. You may receive this asset here, right? Any of these 6 that are coming through. And the interesting thing about the Care Bears asset in particular is that it is based on a design. If you are making a game, right, and you're working in the game maker, you have a couple of different like asset options come in, and the Care Bears design is based on a preset that we have for children, or a child preset. So every time that in the future the child preset is updated in the game maker for the kind of easy game development option that we have right now, you're going to get those updates reflected into your Care Bear automatically, which I thought was a super cool idea. Great work by the team to make sure that that is possible there. I want to answer some of the questions in the chat as I see them coming in here. So let's see. Overslept yesterday morning and missed out. Sorry about that. Yeah, that happens. I've done it before myself. Interesting fact, if you don't already know, even people who are working for the Sandbox team don't get any special knowledge or access to land as we make those sales. So when this unlocks, if I, as Joe, want to get a piece of land, I've got to wait just like everybody else. And I have done exactly that same thing, oversleeping the sale in the past. I think it was for Presale 1 way back in December of 2019. But ever since then, I've been like, oh, I'm a super nerd. I got to get this, because I've got like a lot of great ideas what to do with my lands. And so I'm sure that I have enough to make a nice arcadey experience. Hope lands don't disappear in 2 minutes, just like yesterday. I would project, based on the numbers that I've seen from our how many people visit the website at any given moment, that they'll probably be fast again today. So, expect it. Let's see here. You can buy land on OpenSea if you have a plot. That's an interesting thing. There are third-party markets, so if you find yourself, out there, maybe you don't love the experience of purchasing in these kind of like first-come, first-served sales, remember that OpenSea.io does have land available, so you could purchase there later on. One of the best ways to get a discount at OpenSea that I've seen is to wait for a price drop in terms of like US dollars. When you see that on an exchange for the preferred token, like in the past, people have purchased land for Ethereum and they've priced it out at whatever price they want to put it at. And then like in March of this year, we saw Ethereum drop quite a bit and land was on like a super discount automatically because of that, right? Because people already had that land listed for Ethereum. And folks who owned or bought Ethereum on that day after it kind of like dumped, what have you, were able to get a great discount on land. So if you're looking at this at today's sale and you don't get something today or tomorrow or the next day when we have these sales, then you'll still have an opportunity. We've also got future land sales planned. And we'll announce those very soon. So you'll actually have a lot of opportunity. Today we're selling 1,000 lands. We've got roughly 80 plus thousand to go, right? So a lot of opportunity. Let's see. Is a premium land contract bundle the $100 premium land bundle? Yes. So when I say smart contract, what I mean to say is that if I go back to the map, right, and I click on this piece of land right here, right? Yeah, Alpha Perry happened to pick this up yesterday. It costs $21.07 to satisfy that smart contract. And what that means is we have created these contracts and you say you pay in sand and we trade you without any risk. One NFT land and one Chef Sharebear, one Queen Petunia, one Baby York, one Dibbles Bubble Blower, right? So that's what a smart contract really means. If you were to click on this estate that I happened to pick up yesterday myself during the sale, this is a smart contract that gives me 9 land NFTs. So we call it an estate, and that allows me to edit the image here at the top. It allows me to change the name of it, the picture down here on the display. So estates have something kind of unique to them, but really it's 9 individual parcels, and you can see that here on the bottom right. So a lot of things to understand, but the smart contracts are super safe. They are how we kind of divvy up these. Essentially, at its core, these are all 1x1 lands, but at the same time, when you're developing a game later, when the metaverse sees that you have adjacency, you're allowed to develop games that are larger than 1x1 lands. And frankly, 1x1 lands are pretty big as it is. Let's see here. How many lands do I own? I've bought a lot of lands actually over the months and weeks and year plus. Not quite plus, but almost a year that we've been selling lands. I have land, and the screen that you're seeing is actually on computer too, so it's not signed in with my account. But if I was to check, I would guess yesterday I got the 2 estates with 18. I have a couple more estates, like I have one to the north, a bunch of individual lands potentially for like giveaways and things like that, and not totally sure what I'm going to do with them. I kind of want to try to consolidate into more estates, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. So sorry for all the questions. Don't be sorry. Ask more questions. That's what I'm here for, actually. All the other things that I'm going to do during the hour leading up to the pre-sale are essentially filler things to inform people who maybe are too shy to ask those questions. So if you're waiting in the chat and you're trying to figure out something leading up to the sale, I'm here just for you. Is there a date when all the land will be completely sold? So the answer to that is yes and no, and I'll explain why. So we have I'm going to answer the question about white lines and borders in a second. We have lands that are specially reserved for a lot of different purposes. And then we have all the lands on the map that are gray, essentially, right? And that kind of comes up and down. So you'll notice yesterday's sale, and when I zoom in on this little green section now, this is the lands that were sold yesterday. You have really big plots like this one that say Sandbox, right? And booked by Sandbox Game. Sandbox has it. That's the estimated cost of that land to if you were to purchase an estate that's that large, right? But then you also see these little 1x1s. And these are also booked by Sandbox Game. So in our original white paper, we talk about how we have some of these lands in reserve and what are they used for. And we have over at gamefund.sandbox.game the ability for anyone who has an idea about a game to sign up for the game fund, right? Or what we would in the future call the foundation fund. And if you sign up for the foundation fund and you've got a game idea and we think, wow, we really want to see that in the metaverse, that could probably attract quite a lot of people to come play games here in the sandbox and help attract people to your land consequently, right? We would potentially give someone that piece of land right there, right? So in terms of full distribution of the land, it's going to take quite a lot of time. But in terms of the bulk of the land, that should be sold very soon. We had originally on the plan to sell most of this land, all this kind of dark space outside the white lines, and I'm going to answer that white lines question still. All this dark space outside the white lines, almost all of it will sell this year, right? We will have a full release sale sometime in December. It may lead into early January. I don't know exactly the release schedule for that, but I've got a pretty good idea based on what we've been discussing for quite a long time that we're going to have most of this land sold out this year. There's a limit of land, total land, including the ones that we will reserve, 166,000 roughly lands. So buying it now, you're getting yourself a couple of different things. One of those things is that it's a pre-sale, right? And when we say pre-sale for, what that actually means is that we're offering a discount for that pre-sale. For all these pre-sale waves that we've had, like if I zoom in over here where this section that says Mind Fund is, right? This is our pre-sale 1 section. And we gave a big discount for people who essentially had faith in the project, right? There wasn't a lot that we had announced at the time, except that we had our white paper and we had a great team, right, working on a project. And the original Sandbox had already been made and it had its, tens of millions of downloads and those kinds of things. So we're looking at the time, right, people who were buying in and looking at this, like myself, and I missed that sale, we're saying, hey, this is great, and they got a great discount for it, and they bought it in Ethereum token, right? And then over here on the right side, there was some land sold, and you start to see Whale Shark come in, and like he learned about us, it appears at that time. And this pre-sale too, we have partners like Maker and the CryptoKitties that had joined us. And this release was offered, but not as steep of a discount, right? So as we move forward and we get into this pre-sale 4 area, and this answers your question about the white lines, right? So the white lines and borders are not roads. And I'm going to hit on what roads or like what our transportation system is going to be in a minute. But these white lines and borders signify what the pre-sales are. So pre-sale 4.1, when I click it, it zooms in, immediately it snaps to the top. So our pre-sale 4.1 event, we sold all of this land in the one sale, right? Which was good compared to yesterday in that there was a lot more land to sell that day, right? And at the time, we got some feedback that people would like to see different times of the day that we would make these land sales. So in pre-sale 4.2, and if you click the drop down on the left, it snaps you right to it, right? We've got a bunch of different white line groups for each day of the sale. You can see on the picture that we have here, it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So each one of these white line groups is going to be a sale day. And today is section 2, which is right here on the top right of this little cluster. And that land is going to sell today. So this land today is selling 2 hours later in the day than yesterday's land. So that folks who couldn't wake up that early or couldn't stay up, that late, depending on where you are, maybe has a better opportunity. Maybe this is after work for some people and they had to work yesterday, but now they've made it today. And then the same thing is going to happen tomorrow, where section 3 is going to sell, and section 3 has 1,046 lands for sale, right? But it's happening at 3 p.m. GMT instead of 1 p.m. GMT. So about 26.5 hours from now, section 3 will go on sale. And so we've kind of adapted to try to help solve the problems of as many people as we can with each different kind of sale. A few weeks, well, maybe it's been months ago, I don't know. World goes super fast when you work for the Sandbox. In this section over here, right, pre-sale 3 was like super large to try to like see how that works, right? And Presale 3 included the Atari lands, and they were all over the place. And after Presale 3, we got some feedback again that maybe like this wasn't the right times of day and those things. So we offered what we call a moon sale at the time. And the moon sale lands were around the edges of the maps and small, similar to Presale 4.2, right? So we're trying to compensate as many people as we can in the ways that they request as they request them, and hopefully help everybody that we can. So this is it's kind of a long process, and we want to make sure everybody is happy. I would project that the next land sale, given that we have roughly 10 times as many users this time from the numbers that I've seen, is going to be a little different than this land sale. And we may adjust it yet again in the sale after if we see a lot of people say, well, it was at the wrong time of day for me. But we adjust as we go. So anyway, white lines and borders. All those white lines and borders that are on the map right here represent all of Presale 4, where you'll continue to get a 10% discount. Sorry, I kind of ran on a little bit on that one. Let's see here. So back to the question. Any giveaways today? I only do giveaways on Wednesdays and Saturdays during our live stream where we talk about VoxEdit and the Game Maker and things like that for those folks who are essentially, and this is my view on it. I like to give away sand at that time because people are going to need it to help design those games, and it's good for the ecosystem, right? If those people are already there helping, learning how to design those games, then they're probably more likely to want to use it for that. Let's see here. What's more valuable land with an NFT Care Bear or an estate, in my opinion? Okay, my opinion, not the Sandbox opinion. Let's see. I like and need to use land for designing the game. I don't necessarily need a Care Bear in the game worlds that I want to make, the experiences that I want to make, right? However, I feel like somebody who owns a Care Bear will very likely be able to appeal to an audience that Joe isn't going to hit. Because I kind of want to make, and I've mentioned this yesterday, some arcade-style games so that it feels like you're in an arcade. Be willing to play and pay like you're in an arcade. 1 or 2 sand to play a game. Absolutely, people are going to do that all day, right? That's my personal way that I want to work with a pay model, right? Somebody who has a Care Bear could make a game specifically designed for a Care Bear target audience and take advantage of that target audience, which I believe is going to be pretty big, considering that the thematic style of the the designs in the Sandbox is similar to a Roblox or a Minecraft, right? So with that in mind, a Care Bear could have a really high value. Aside from that, Care Bears themselves, and I mentioned this yesterday, you were probably here for it, AT, I think you were, a Care Bear toy that was released in the 80s has sold at auction for up to $10,000. So, are we talking about value like usability? Are we talking about value cash money? Like, those are totally different things. So Care Bears are super compelling, though, and again, I really like them because I know that as we continue to update that child model in the Game Maker for those people who aren't going to be doing visual scripting or proper scripting, they're updating those animations automatically for those Care Bears. That's pretty cool. Let's see. How will the public be brought into play in January? Plank, the answer to that is pretty simple, actually. The Game Maker is one aspect of the Sandbox, right? But then you have to get the players. And the metaverse release, which you can see on our timelines on our white paper, the metaverse release is essentially the free-to-play access to the game, right? So anybody who has the ability to get on a PC later on, potentially a mobile device, something like that, can come into the metaverse and they can play the games that are available. And it's up to you or me as a game designer to decide whether you want to offer something free to play or you want to offer something that they have to pay in sand to play. And there are multiple ways to do that. So the public being brought into play in January, I think it's going to be a huge success, personally. But that's kind of remains to be seen. Seb has floated the idea that his target within 5 years is 10 million people in the metaverse. I think that's perfectly attainable. So let's see. Yesterday I tried to buy, but as soon as I clicked on the buy button, I got a connection loss. This happened a few times. There's something I can do, or was it caused by network congestion? DKAG, the answer to that is probably, in some respects, that's definitely network congestion. Now, I saw a map recently that, and recently I'm talking yesterday, that had, what was it, like 300,000 hits to the site plus. So there's two different ways that you can look at that, right? As a gamer, I know what it is like to be hype about something, to get ready to buy, and you're saying like, oh geez, I got to get it right now, right? And you're in the moment, and something lags out, and you get a little disappointed, and so like, and I understand that. However, all things being relative, today, this day, I was playing the game Among Us, and I don't know if you've played it. It's a pretty simple game, costs like $5, right? But their servers are so overloaded weeks into the game being released that I couldn't get a server weeks later, right? And yesterday's event, when I was there buying with you, right, the maximum that I heard was about 60 seconds worth of lag. And in a sale like this, when there's kind of a smaller or limited number of lands, definitely we understand that. That's why in Presale 4.1 we offered a bunch more lands, and this time, conversely, we're offering a bunch of like different times of the day to buy the lands. So we definitely are working to make sure that you have a good experience. And if you miss out today, you're going to have an opportunity tomorrow and the next day. And then beyond that, you're having an opportunity in all of this space down here. So there's still another, that's roughly like 9,000 more lands right there. So don't fret if you have an issue or something with lag today. Or if you miss out on kind of your desired space, you will have more opportunities to buy. And I assure you, despite the fact that I can't tell you what they are, some of our partnerships in the future are amazing, amazing IPs. So wait for that if you miss out today. Let's see here. Will Sand have its own mainnet in the future? Alders, the answer to that is we're currently exploring layer 2 integration, right? And I don't have like something I can bring up to show you what layer 2 integration. I actually, I probably do. If I look on this page right here on our Medium, I'm going to try to find it here. Normally I have this on tap, but I'm doing it live. Let's see. Land in the sandbox, land token, abilities, district. Not quite. No. Almost the one I was looking for. Maybe it's sand or land token economics. I think it's how to get sand is going to tell me. Finance article. Tracks. Sorry about that. Well, let me just answer it. Look, what we intend to do in the future, and we've been exploring this, and it's been on tap. It's not currently active, but is a possibility in the future, is layer 2 integration, which means that your sand transaction can go to the sandbox instead of going to the blockchain in the future. It's not ready yet because our dev team has been working tirelessly to make sand integration work for this land sale for weeks, and they need a little rest. But layer 2 integration coming later on in the future would enable, if it's ready, that you send sand to the sandbox instead of sending sand to the blockchain. And then the sandbox collects all that together and then processes it on chain as one big transaction instead of a lot of small ones. So if that was ready immediately, then maybe some of these gas costs would be a little lower. I don't know exactly how that affects it on a usable level, because I personally haven't used any layer 2 systems except for when I buy on an exchange like a Binance, right? But it makes the transactions per second a little faster, and it makes the gas fees, I assume, a little lower, unless you go on chain. So we're exploring that, and I'll give you updates to that as often as I possibly can. Let's see here. The ETH estimator, I have that up on the screen, right? I use myself, and I'll have to refresh this. I use ethgasstation.info because it has a couple of different features that I really like. One of them is the transaction calculator. Okay, so you can see here Even when I refresh that, over the course of the last hour, there have been more ETH transactions processed on chain. So it said initially that a fast transaction would require 100 Gwei to process the transaction. Now it's up to 118. Last week we saw the same thing as we led into the sale. I had a projection initially, personally, for myself, for Joe, that it was showing at 100, and by the time the sale hit, we were already up at 200 because more transactions were being processed on chain. That's something to look at. You got a transaction calculator here if you'd like to make an estimate. Yesterday when I bought an estate, it took roughly 200,000 gas to do that. And again, this is just an estimate and literally changes every minute. So you want to be careful to not take this as a matter of fact. But if I wanted a fast transaction and it was going to cost 200,000, it'd be roughly $8.63. In actuality, yesterday it cost me like $10.71 or something to process my transaction, but I had approved a potential cost of $16 in gas to do that. So it's very flexible minute to minute. Keep that in mind. But that's the best projection I could give you for like a medium-sized estate in the moment. So you can watch it with the ETH gas station. Generally speaking, when you see a high volume of ETH at any given moment, right, you're seeing that. It looks like right now sand is up a little bit compared to what it was earlier today. It's roughly about what it was at the same time yesterday. So we should see roughly the same price when it goes live. Let's see here. Explain the portal system a little? Sure, absolutely. So the portal system, which is not fully developed yet and absolutely not finalized. I just want to make this clear. Anything could change at any time. But at its base, you're going to walk into a place that is advertised as having portals, and it's going to have portals that will take you to an advertised space. There's two different ways that this has been concepted. I believe that it's going to happen in the second way. So let's say that you walk up to a portal, right? If you're in this Sandbox social space, and you walk up to a portal inside this Sandbox social space, it's going to take you to this one, potentially. You can see the preview images right here, which haven't been fleshed out on these particular spaces. All three of these preview images show you where you're going to go. So I would project, and I don't know for sure, that if you were walking up to a portal and you wanted to know where you were going, it was probably going to show you these images, which can be edited by a little blue paper and pencil that you'd see if you were logged in and this was your world. So these images are going to be super important. If you design your game world and you want to show it off to attract people to come in, you're going to want to take like screenshots of your game world and upload them here in order to attract people. Maybe change the text, like I did here with mine. It says Joe's Land. I got this image here. This is the Vision X High Stream. This is roughly what it costs, etc. But I could click edit right here and I could change image 2, image 3. I can change the image that is kind of the attraction image there. So that's what I would project a portal would look like in game properly. It's going to show you whether I don't know if it would be like the actual like kind of portal itself that would have the image on it, or if maybe there's like a preview box above or something like that. But essentially it's just a fast transit system that takes you somewhere on the metaverse while you're in the metaverse, right? And particularly as Joe, I like buying lands that are adjacent to the sandbox. I've got another one up here. Because I know that these Sandbox social spaces are meant to have portals for the most part. Some of them don't. As a disclaimer, just keep that in mind. And that's why when I look at these preview maps that say, hey, what's it going to look like when it unlocks, I personally like finding ones that are next to the Sandbox or next to a Care Bears or something like that. In fact, on this picture here, you can see the little portal logo in the corner showing that there are actually portals in these 4 spaces. And based on yesterday's map, we've got the Care Bears there in that space. So there should be portals inside that particular Care Bears space. So it may be more of a social Care Bears space, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. I want to get to... Can you explain what happens to the sand after the sandbox receives them back through a purchase? I know there's a diagram, but it's a bit confusing. Sure. So some of the sand that is brought in is used specifically for what I mentioned earlier, which is the foundation fund, right? So not only do we have these little lands that are all around the map that are going to, at least in part, be distributed to people for free to develop great game worlds when they give us that pitch at gamefund.sandbox.game. But also, some of those people are going to need, if they have like extensive projects that are going to take a very long time, we may use some of that sand as a literal payment to them to say, hey, this is going to take hundreds and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours. I don't know. Depends. So we want to say, hey, that's great. We love your project. Not only are we going to facilitate maybe some land, but we may also give them some sand. You'll notice that at that website, gamefund.sand.game, it says very clearly, right, that our initial investment in that was a $2 million investment. So the future investment is unlimited because we're receiving more sand, and a portion of that sand is going down into the foundation fund for every single transaction that processes, right? And then some of that sand is also used to help fund the staff that works for the sandbox, directly, like literally paying the paycheck to help the web dev teams and the blockchain teams and the marketing teams and all those other aspects, right? Like any normal operation is going to have that. So there's a lot of different uses for that sand in the end. But for the most part, my favorite or the biggest contribution, in my opinion, to the future of the sandbox is the foundation fund helping create real organic experiences from people like you. Let's see. I have ETH on my account. How do I turn this ETH into sand? With only 23 minutes left, the fastest way to do that, if you already have access to a website like Binance, you can transmit your ETH to USDT and then USDT to sand if you want to, right? But you'll need a little bit of ETH in your account in order to process the on-chain gas fee. Now, if you don't have time for that, you can, and I'm gonna link this in chat if I can. I gotta get a restream chat up. Okay, so I pasted it in the chat. This is a Uniswap pair. Again, kind of the difference between a Binance and a Uniswap is that a Uniswap is peer-to-peer, which means it's on-chain. So again, you would have to pay a gas fee in order to swap any one token for another token. So, it's kind of a double fee situation, but, I personally living in the US, I don't have access to Binance, so I use Uniswap as well to get my sand. So if you have access to Binance, again, you can use it there, or you can trade on Uniswap with the link that I provided. And you can see roughly what the cost is. I'm going to refresh it just to see if that updated or if it's updating live. Frankly, I don't pay hyper close attention, but there's a lot of liquidity available, so you have plenty to be able to manage your purchase today. And that. So let me scroll back up real quick here. Is it supposed to be stressful? I would say no. No, don't think about it. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, right? And be like, oh, geez, I got to get it now. I got to get it. But I assure you, we have a lot of land. There's a lot of future opportunities. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of space still. Even if you're looking at it and thinking like you really want to get the pre-sale 4 discount, you have an opportunity to get that pre-sale 4 discount today, tomorrow, the next day, in a future land sale here, potentially another future land sale down here, right? So there's a lot of good chances to get land at the 10% discount. And then you get a further discount, right, for getting the estates. So don't stress too much today. If you find yourself having connection issues, if there's, again, like a couple 100,000 hits this morning, then, just don't worry about it too much. There will be more opportunities for you to get land as we go. Let's see. Price of sand has gone low since yesterday. I'll need more sand today to buy land, ? In previous land sales, the price when it was sold in Ethereum did fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. So I believe that today it will be a little different. However, from what I can remember, the price of sand is pretty close to what it was yesterday. Like, I think that it launched at maybe 0.47 in terms of USDT, right? 4.7 cents a share. Or so if that's the case again today, the price will be really close. You'll probably be able to get what you were looking for. I don't know your balance in that. Let's see. I got a connection error at first, but it reconnected and I got it. Very good. I'm glad that you did. There will. I'm gonna guess. That there will be some connection error. But again, in terms of scope, I think that our team has done a fantastic job of designing the website and managing and like bolstering up the servers for these kinds of events because, relatively speaking, I don't know if you're. I would imagine you're all probably game players like myself. And again, I was playing that game Among Us, which came out a few weeks ago. Today, still having connection server issues. Whereas our sale yesterday, at most, the lag that we saw was like 60 seconds. So, it's a bit of an inconvenience, but I think that overall we've got a pretty good handle on it, and we definitely are, we have some events that are bigger sales and some events that are smaller like this for different reasons. So, if I buy land with premium assets, do I receive those assets, or how does it work? Catsy, yes. If you buy land that is yellow on the map today, you are receiving one by one land NFT, and you are receiving 4 premium assets along with that. Those assets can be used as collectibles for you personally, or you can use them in the games that you design. It's up to you. Gatzilla, I'll tell you what. I'm seeing in your chat, you say you're hyped for Transformers, you're on to you people, and you've seen clues. That is interesting. If you got yourself a connection with the group at Paramount to get Transformers in as an IP, call me, please. Also, it says that you want Gundam. Listen, same, right? Would love to see those larger partnerships. I can tell you that in terms of scope and scale, it's similar, but can't tell you what it is. So keep on with us. You'll see some good things to come. Okay, so it says, are you able to book 2 at the same time without having to first purchase, having the first purchase go through on your wallet? Yes, you are able to book multiple lands. However, it does make the experience not as awesome for other people. Because I think that you'll find that once you've calculated the cost of gas and you've calculated the cost of sand, you may have 1 or 2 pieces of land that you overbooked. And then we end up with these purple squares on the map that nobody can buy until you reject the transaction or it times out. So, two-way street right there, right? If you're listening to that, what that means is sometimes you're going to see the map go, and we're all booked out, right? Within 3-5 minutes, what have you. Stick with it, because some people are going to overbook. Some people are going to be overzealous. They're going to be super excited and think like, oh, I'm getting all this, and then they can't afford it. So if you miss out on the first couple of minutes, right, and everything books out, stick with it. Watch the map. Some things are going to unlock again after roughly 3 to 5 more minutes. You'll see those people's actions get rejected. Let's see. What happens if someone uses... I'm going to go back to the map just for the sake of the timer so that y'all can see that. What happens if someone uses a bigger company's picture on their land? Is there any copyright infringement rules or anything of that sort? Argub, yes, there are kind of. So what we are going to have, and it's not implemented yet because the marketplace isn't fully live for the public, we're going to have a sort of a moderation system where if you, and this is specific to the marketplace, I don't know exactly what to do with images and that kind of stuff. There are people who work for the Sandbox that can change those images if we have to, if there's something lewd or copyright or what have you. But when it comes to like what you publish on the marketplace, let's say that you, again, we're selling Care Bears, right? That's part of this event. Those NFTs are meant to be unique. If you as a designer then go and make an identical Care Bear and try to republish it on the marketplace, somebody like me or another user can spend a little bit of sand to report that, right? And if you report it and the team confirms that this is in fact a duplicate and somebody's trying to sell Care Bears as if they made that asset, right? That report is actually going to earn the person who reported sand as a reward. So that's another use for some of the sand that you're paying the lands or for the lands for right now, right? So you get a reward as somebody who reported things that are found to be true. However, if you report just to report and then you have no proof that it's a duplicate, you lose the sand. The person who published the original like duplicate, right? If you publish a duplicate and you are found to be publishing a duplicate, then your sand is taken away for the publishing and it gets rejected. So it's meant to be a nice moderation system that has a reason or like a real financial incentive to not duplicate, to make original content. So you should see quite a lot of original content. Let's see. Which partnership already announced are you most excited about in your opinion? Sure. Boy, that's an interesting one. So I really like Atari. Maybe that's a softball answer. Maybe it is. Atari Land, obviously there's a lot of them. But Atari is more than just this giant Atari block that you see right here, right? Atari owns Roller Coaster Tycoon World. They own Pong. They own all kinds of things, right? Down here, Centipede. And our team is working in partnership with Atari to develop these as fully functional games, right? So I happen to have, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. Good Lord. So I operate on two computers, right? I got this one and I got the stream one. So let me scroll back to that again. Roller Coaster Tycoon World, right? We got Pong over here. Let's see, there's a Centipede, and that one's small. A lot of people might miss that. I don't know who Kyle from Ohio is, but you have, in my opinion, a very desirable space. So there's a lot of good things that are working with Atari, and where the full announcement is over on our Medium. It's also on Atari's own social medias and that. But you can find that we are helping them to make a bunch of game experiences when the full metaverse launches. So I'm super, super excited for that. Let's see. How do you change the image back to the default if you put something that you don't want that image? It looks like you've put a new image, but I don't put a new image, but I don't see the default one. Let me poke around. I'm going to answer that question. Oh, yep. Yeah. Okay. So let's say that you put up, I'm clicking on this here. You can see my first image here. See my second image there. If you put up an image that you don't want, you click the edit button, it'll be right here, right? It's going to pop up and say edit your estate. And you've got 3 boxes for the 3 images. There's just a trash can on it and you can delete it. So you can hit a plus to add a new one, but you hit trash can and it goes away. And I just hit the trash can over here on the right. Watch how fast this transaction happens. 1, 2, 3. I hit save when I said 3 on this computer. And this computer saw it instantly. So that's a testament to how well the server does work even before we get into this land sale, right? There's going to be a ton of people here, but it's like instantly responsive. Super fast. I'm going to add that image back in because I do want that image on there. And 1, 2, 3, click. That's how fast it is, right? So super good. Ready to go for the sale. There will, of course, be some kind of lag as we get into it because we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people looking to make these land purchases today. But I assure you, we are doing everything we can to make sure that that is a smooth experience. So let's see here. Grab 20k sand watching 2 small estates get. I believe that's going to be enough. As you can see, yesterday it cost me 77.73 sand for one of the small estates, so hopefully got enough in there. And again, looking for the gas. Joseph, if I've bought 4 small estates in different parts of the metaverse and want to close between them, can I? Plank? Yes. However, you will have to wait, make them traverse from one to, like, to properly make them go from one to the other, you're going to have a teleporter. There is plans to implement a teleporter for the general public, but not. So it's on the pipeline for sure. We want to make sure that people could have access to that. But in terms of like a priority list, we have to make sure that the game maker is fantastic, right? The VoxEdit is fantastic to play. Metaverse works without a hitch. And then work on the little things, you know, relatively speaking, like portals for regular users to purchase and put in their lands. What I recommend to do on the short term is every one of your lands, your game experiences, do the same thing that I did here, right? I've got the VX logo. It's on all of my lands, all of my estates rather. So if you're purchasing estates, then that's good. And you said small estates. If you're purchasing individual lands, then literally make an advertisement inside your land, like a little thing right when people spawn, like, love this land, go here and enjoy more. Things like that. Make sure that you're telling people about your other game experiences when they're in your game experience, especially like at the end of a game, if you're at like the finish line, or right before somebody could hop into the next land, you're going to want them to know that you have something going. All in, all over there on Periscope, I do see you. I'm going to get to that question. I'm just scrolling down through all of them right now. Let's see here. You book land. Sure. So the simplest answer to that is that in this section right here, in 9 minutes and 12 seconds, this is all going to turn a slightly different shade of gray. And it's going to populate the shapes that you see on this map right here, right? The section 2 area is going to populate all these shapes. So if you want an individual piece of land, you're looking for a little green one, a little tiny green square here. If you want an individual piece of land that has Care Bears, you're looking for a tiny yellow square here inside the section 2 zone, right? Small estates, you're looking for the small, bigger squares, right? The medium estate is this square, the large estate is there. There's only one large estate, so if you're a large estate buyer, you're trying to get that, good luck. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be super crazy, right? But, you know, you just, essentially you want to click on one of those that you see. You're going to get this pop-up, and instead of it saying what it says here, which is somebody owns it, there's a little blue buy button. And you click on that buy button, and if you see a second pop-up that says buy, again, click the blue button. I didn't pay super close attention yesterday when I was buying. I was hype. I've done this so many times. I'm like, yeah, let me get it. But you click on that buy button, and then you should see a pop-up from your wallet that's asking you to approve an on-chain gas transaction to process it on the blockchain, which is essentially to pay somebody to confirm that that's real and that it's all yours, right? And once you've done that, then it's just, it takes a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, and you'll start to see these tiles change from purple, which is booked, to green, which is confirmed purchased. So let's see here. Discords. Let's see. To anybody who feels like they miss a buy, I hung around the screen about 45 minutes yesterday, and one of the 20 left opened up, and I nacho snapped that. Nacho Samurai, that is awesome, honestly, because that's a true testament to what I was mentioning before. Look, if you see today that all of these book up, right, and they may book up really fast, it doesn't mean necessarily that somebody had the funds to buy it. Maybe they were just super hype, like you and I probably are right now, and they were like, oh, I gotta get it, and they book it, but then they find out that they don't have enough gas in their wallet, or they didn't have enough sand, or like they tried to book like 5, but they could only afford 4. So wait around and make sure that before you give up all hope, that all of these tiles that will turn purple for booking actually turn green. Because once they're green like this, they're confirmed on chain, meaning that they are definitely distributed. Somebody satisfied that smart contract by actually paying. And until you see them turn green, there's still a chance to purchase. Nacho proving it right there. Let's see here. Thanks, Argub. I appreciate the sentiment there. New about the countdown. What is that about exactly? Okay, so the countdown is just a simple timer. If you're on this page and you're signed in with your wallet and you're all ready to go to make the purchase, you stay on the page, and as soon as that timer hits 0, this section right here in the middle is going to transform to a lighter shade of gray. These kind of like, it will populate those lands and allow people to buy them. There will probably be a little bit of lag during that period, but it's, less than 60 seconds potentially, depending on how awesome your internet is. And you'll be able to then click on the lands that are available that have not been booked yet, and you can make a buy order. All 900 sand are worth it. Small estates or sorry, small land plots are a lot larger than you think, actually. And I think I have this somewhere. I brought it up yesterday, but I'm going to go to my profile. And in these last couple of minutes, I'm going to show you what it looks like to have what you would call a small land, a 1x1. They're not really small. I compared this heads up on our live stream on a Wednesday. I think it's been obviously a couple of weeks. I think it was August 18th. And I'm trying to get back to it here. I make a lot of tweets about a lot of stuff, mostly about the Sandbox. So if you want news, you want to know what's hot, I'll tell you. Oh yeah, August 9th. And then I retweeted it later. So this is what a 1x1 land looks like. And so this tiny red circle down here is an avatar, or like a proper person. That person stands 2 meters tall. And look at how huge this land is. Now, this doesn't even include the fact that there's a ton of vertical space that I cut off, right? It's got 128 meters of vertical space and then 96 by 96 meters on this 1x1 land. It's super big. And that's just that one tile right there, right? So there's a lot of land going on. Does it book the order on the first buy button or the second one? It books the order on the confirmation, right? It doesn't necessarily require that you click the MetaMask or the Bitsky pop-up or whatever to actually pay for it, but it books it on the, I believe it's the second one. Like I said, I was so hyped yesterday, I didn't really pay attention to if I had to click buy twice or not. Let's see. So you just have to click on the land and be the first to click the buy button, then it's booked. Yes. Then you can take your time to pay it. Take your time. I don't know about take your time. You can take a little bit of time, for sure. Like, you could book a few lands reasonably or a few estates reasonably before you had to pay for it. But as I said earlier, a lot of people do that. They get excited, they book a bunch of estates or whatever, and then they come to the realization that they didn't have enough money to pay for them. So if you find yourself that you were trying to book one, and you couldn't, hang around and see if those bookings kind of re-unlock after a couple of minutes. If you see it blink in the first second or so, there's a good chance that you're just experiencing a little bit of lag on your end, so be cautious about that. If you're real, say the hurricane is getting worse. I am real, and I'm spectacular. Let's see, how many more pre-sale rounds are there? In this pre-sale, in 4.2, we've got today, tomorrow, and the next day, right? Tomorrow's pre-sale happens 26 hours after this one starts. The next day, again, 26 hours later. So if you're watching right now, for me, it's about to be 6 in the morning. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., that's when the next sale is, right? So, and beyond that, you can see where all this extra white highlighted land is. This is also part of the pre-sale 4 experiences, right? So we had pre-sale 4.1. Let me zoom out on the proper screen. Again, I got all excited and started looking at my left side screen here. Let's see. I'll bring up the chat again. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so you can see here these small highlights are what we're doing over the next couple of days. But this larger outlined area shows you what we'll be selling in further pre-sale 4 events, which haven't been announced on their dates yet. But premium lands on the public sale, that is a good question and that I can't answer at this time. I can say that we do have more partnerships that we have not announced. That is all I can say. What areas are being sold today? Absolutely. So I'm going to click pre-sale 4.2 and right here in the upper right. We got about a minute left for the sale. So if you're not currently on the site, make sure that you're logged in on the website and that you're looking at the map. It's going to refresh the map portion automatically for you when the timer hits 0. Again, expect a little bit of lag as that happens because we have potentially 100,000 users. Oh, man. Okay, so if you're watching on Facebook, do not trust that. That is fake. Someone's trying to scam. I'm going to get that cleaned up by our community managers here in just a few minutes. That is so frustrating. Okay, land round 2, you can see right there in this section 2, which is the upper right section of the map right here. In 1 minute, we'll over here, super. I can't help but be excited about this moment. This is my favorite moment. It's the most like moment, but also it's super cool. So I am, as I was yesterday, participating in this land sale as well. So just for like the next minute or so, I'm gonna chill, be a little bit quiet on the camera. One and zero presale open. Again, expect a little. Wow, that was actually pretty good. Well, oh yeah, we're working hard now. Things are going. Things are going. Can't click anything personally, just so you know. Like, it's not unusual. It's not unusual. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So. There we go. We're preparing my purchase. That is going super fast today. Look at you guys, quick draw out here. And I don't think I'm going to pick up an estate. In fact, I think I'm going to choose not to pick up an estate today. Just on the basis that I want everybody to have an opportunity to get one. I already got two yesterday. I feel like a privileged nerd to me. Oh, nice, good job picking up that 6x6 estate there, last little pop. Pretty much everything's getting booked out. It appears to be happening very smooth today, which is good. For a couple of seconds, everybody was able to load into that. We continue to watch. Look at those premium lands disappear. There's a couple of gray squares left on the map right now, but super fast. Super fast today and pretty smooth as well. Looks like the sellout period may happen before 2 minutes. There's only, what, 3? 1, 0. Wait, 1, 2. There we go. Some of those bookings got unconfirmed. People a little bit maybe overzealously clicking, not realizing what their gas fees might be or how much sand they had. Vox is a website, yes, FO, but it is also a game design platform. It is also a voxel editing platform. The metaverse is by design going to be a place where folks can publish games that they design themselves. Catsy, as I mentioned earlier, I'm actually seeing a couple of these re-unlock as you're watching here. So if you're disappointed, you can see that land up there. Kind of maybe people are clicking because they're excited, but then they're going and checking their wallet balances and they don't have enough. So if you get an opportunity, you see something kind of pop reopen right there. There's a yellow one there just for a second. That's gone, right? Stick with it. And if you miss it today, then remember that in just 26 hours from now, 1 day, 1 hour, 57 minutes, the next group of land will unlock. You will have another opportunity to win. But yeah. Okay, so how to finish buying. If you have booked, make sure you open up your wallet app. And in your wallet app, you're going to have a little question on there, and it's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to buy this? It's going to cost this much sand. It's going to cost this much gas. And you're going to say yes. And once you confirm that, then you will start processing the transaction on the blockchain, which means that you will get an individual serial number that says, hey, this is yours, right? And it's given to you. And yeah, that sale was super fast. It was a little bit smoother than yesterday in terms of that. There was some lag, but again, you can see some of those people who were booking still they haven't turned green yet. So technically, none of the things that you see on the screen are sold until they turn green, right? People who booked these may not have had enough gas, may not have had enough sand to actually purchase this. Once you start to see them all change green, you're seeing that transaction confirm on the blockchain, and that's when it's really genuinely sold and gone. So max time to get a transaction confirmed depends on how much gas you chose to pay. If you pay by default, it's probably 30 seconds to a minute, something like that. You'll start to see them here in just really soon. You're going to see them. And Alders, I can definitely, like I said, I understand the hype. I opted out of this sale in particular because I got a few yesterday. booked one, but then my name got replaced with someone else. Yeah, that happens sometimes. If you're clicking yes, confirm at the exact same second, you may not have got the warning. And you can see a couple of them, just a couple of those little tiny green ones have started to confirm on chain now. None of the bigger plots are confirming, but some of them are turning green. Those people probably chose to pay more gas fees to make sure that they could get like processed faster on the Ethereum blockchain. Or with this purchase after you click to buy land, just too slow, or the internet not fast? What's going on? That's pretty much the answer, crypto holder. Is you probably understand the process now, but when it comes to selling on a global scale, right? Your internet may not be as fast as some other users in this case. However, crypto, I will say that there are still more days, and if that doesn't fancy you, right? You don't like the idea of waiting around for these sales. You have an opportunity to get them on OpenSea.io. These lands are available, and what I would say as an advice, not as a Sandbox advice, but as a Joe to you advice, would be to, if you're going to buy it on a third-party market like OpenSea, wait until you see the price of whatever token they're selling it for go down a lot on that day, right? If you see that the price of a token goes down a lot on one day, people probably aren't changing the price on OpenSea.io. They're leaving it as whatever price they wanted to list it as. And I've seen in the past, as I mentioned way earlier, right? Back in March, Ethereum dropped significantly on over the course of like a week or two, right? And it dropped from like being worth $300 to like $150. And because it dropped so much, people were able to buy land for pretty cheap, relatively speaking, because they were buying land with US dollars and they converted it to ETH and they got a really good deal, right? So there's always going to be, with the way that cryptocurrency works, it's got some volatility to it. You may find yourself with a good discount later on down the road that you couldn't see on any given day. So there's going to be opportunities. And you can actually see right now that a couple of these pre-booked lands are coming open again, and they're gone again, boop, boop, real quick. What mic do I use? I have a mic that, frankly, I couldn't tell you the brand. Here it is. It's designed like the AT220, but I don't know the manufacturer offhand. I bought it quite a while ago. Sorry, Quaint, I don't need your spam. I don't need to buy followers, primes, and views on big follows. Let's see here. Okay, so on which trade website did this happen? You can go to OpenSea.io. OpenSea.io. If you want to trade lands on a third-party market. Typically, like right now, because we're right here at this land sale and everybody's super excited about it, usually those lands have a little bit of a markup on them. But like I said, usually if you wait around and you wait for like a big move in the cryptocurrency markets where like, you know, Bitcoin has a really bad day or whatever, you can get a pretty good discount on those days. That's what I like to look for. If I'm going to buy a land to give away or something like that, as Joe, not as the Sandbox, but as Joe. I've done that in the past where I bought one on OpenSea that was cheap, and I'm like, hey, you know, got you on Twitter if you're retweeting this or whatever, and I'll do something like that. So it's a good way to get it if you want. See here. Will lands marked Sandbox remain Sandbox, or might they be partner lands eventually? Both. The monastic, some of these lands that are Sandbox, so you could see the little blue ones down here, right? And I mentioned this earlier on in the stream. The little blue ones typically are going to be used for our foundation fund. So if you go to gamefund.sandbox.com, then you will find that there is a $2 million kind of giveaway. I'm not going to call it a giveaway. If we see that you submit a project, right, that's for a game and you've got it concepted out and you say, here's the team that I've got behind it, and sometimes that's just you, and you say, this is the idea that I want, and the Sandbox says, great, we love this idea, we want to see it in the metaverse, we could issue you that sand, or land and sand, frankly, but that land, and say, hey, this land at negative 108.50, that's yours. Make your game. Show us what you got, and not just free, right? Because we want to make sure, and the foundation fund is constantly revolving. It's constantly including more fund, right? But we want to make sure that there are good games available in the metaverse when that releases. So we're going to take some of this and turn it into that. You may find that something like this 3x3 will do the same thing. I don't know on any one in particular, but like a 3x3 like this, if somebody says, hey, I want to make a battle royale, and you need a big space, right? Like, well, this is how big a 3x3 is in the picture on the screen there. And that red circle on the bottom left shows you the size of an avatar. That's pretty huge. You could probably do a 32x32 like battle royale on a space that massive. And that's just a 3x3. There are much bigger spaces. This person here, right, bought this 6x6 space, which would be 4 times larger than the picture I have on the screen here. And then you've got the 12x12 space that Tron Cake, they picked it up today. So that's huge, massive space. So let's see here. How does gas work when purchasing land? Yeah, sure. So when you're purchasing a land, and this is going to be super relevant for maybe if one of these booked turns back into gray and you get an opportunity to buy it. So gas is the cost of processing any transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. And what that means is people with a computer like this, right, you and me, have the opportunity to mine Ethereum. And that means that you're processing transactions on Ethereum blockchain, and in exchange for that process, if you successfully mine Ethereum, you're paid Ethereum. And so the gas is used to pay the miners directly. And when the Ethereum blockchain is more busy, then you'll see gas, and I'm going to go over here and look at this right now. You'll see this gas price go up, right? Because there are more transactions to process every second. And so in order to help reduce the number of transactions to process every second, the cost of gas goes up to try to stop incentivizing people from clogging up the network, right? People make their judgments on their own. They say, you know what, it doesn't matter that it costs, $2, $5, $50 to process this transaction. I want to do it anyway. And they pay the gas, and then the gas goes to the miners. So that's that process. That's how that works. Let's see here. How can you add assets? I see a plus, but I don't see any price. I have assets without paying. That's not super clear to me, what you said there. If you clicked on one of these lands and you clicked buy and you confirmed the buy, then you can go up in on Chrome. You should have, I don't know if you're using MetaMask or using Bitsky or using Arcane Wallet, a lot of different options there. You may have a pop-up somewhere that you click to confirm your buy order. You may have in your MetaMask, if you use that, a little wolf in the corner that you can click up above the sign-in button there. A little wolf in the corner up there somewhere that you could click, and you'll be able to see the transactions that you haven't confirmed, and then you can finalize the payment on that. So it is what it is. Oh, okay. Because you clicked on legendary assets like a bone dragon, for example. Okay. So if you have assets, if you're in the game maker and you're trying to add assets to your game, when you click plus on the shop here, right? And I'm going to go to the shop to show you this because I didn't cover this yesterday. If you see any one of these, right? And you click Mr. Gold Creator, and you click the plus to this, right? And you're logged into your account. As long as your account has been approved for the game maker, right now when you click the plus, you're adding that for free to your game maker to be able to open the game maker and put Mr. Gold Creator or a dragon or whatever into your game. So what you do is you go to the shop, and you're looking for assets and you think, hey, I really like the mummy kid and I want the mummy kid inside my game, or I want the dino kid inside my game because I'm going to make a Halloween game, and I'll bet you that's what that's there for. And so you click plus and you add it to your game maker account, and then you go in your game maker and you should see it there, and you can drag and drop it into your game world that you're designing. So you've got a lot of different things going on. Let's see here. How do I view the actual location on OpenSea? Okay, yeah, sure. Let me show you how to do that. I don't normally. Oh. I normally go over this necessarily live, so it may take a second. OpenSea's website is quite a lot slower than ours. You click on this, right? And then if you want to see the location, you click on the land. And I'm not advertising this person's land. Please don't take it that way. You click view on the sandbox. And then it's going to load the map. And after the map is fully loaded, it will zoom into that location. And it looks like there's still quite a lot of people. Okay. And it zoomed into the location where that land is. One of these, I can't see it exactly because this is just an individual land. One of these tiles is white color. Must have been over here somewhere. It's probably to the left. But 136.4 will be that land in particular. This is 140.12. A little lower, 137.7, so I'm pretty close. 6.4. So this is the land right there that's available for sale here. So just click view on the sandbox there. If you like where it is, you like the price, you're comfortable paying it, you know, that's there for you. Let's see here. Always kicked out of the connection when trying to buy land. Is there another way, please? Marcus, there will be more land sales. I think that's the best advice that I could give. There will be more land sales that will be at these discounts. As we go here, I'm going to go back to the map just to show you the other space that we have available. You see this giant space in the bottom right here that has this kind of outline. These are more lands that will continue to sell at pre-sale for discounts. So those spaces there, we do different things during different sales to accommodate people in different ways. In this particular land sale, we broke it up into these 4 different blocks because we had folks come through and they said, hey, I don't live in Europe. I would like to have a more desirable time to buy. So yesterday's pre-sale happened at my local time at about 4 in the morning. Yeah, about 4 a.m. Right? And I was live streaming starting at 3, right? So this section with the Care Bears in the dead center unlocked for me at 4 a.m. And so that's too early for some people. And in order to compensate and make sure that some people can buy today, this one unlocked at 6 a.m. And then we're going to have the same thing tomorrow. Third section, which is down here, is going to unlock at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. for me, right? Whatever time it is local for you, you can see the next wave next wave starts in this time. So how is that different, right? How does that affect you as Marcus? Well, in presale 4.1, when we unlocked this presale, we didn't have a different time of day. We didn't, compensate for people in that way. We compensated in a different way by releasing all 4,500 lands all at once, right? So even though there was that kind of initial lag and like super high demand still, it gave people a few more minutes to buy up all the land. So that land sale went a little differently, obviously, than this one. And in that one, we offered some dragons. And this one, we offer some Care Bears. So it's a little different in that way. We'll probably have something else for legendary assets coming up in the next pre-sale. I don't know exactly what those details are at this time. But if you can't buy land there, I talked a bit about just a few minutes ago, OpenSea and that being an option. If this just isn't your thing and you don't like the first come first serve kind of situation, we do have that option available to you. That's not a Sandbox thing, but a third party like peer-to-peer trade system. So let's see. Is a premium land still a premium land if the NFTs have been sold? That's a great question, and the answer is no. Um, that's just me answering that as Joe, but realistically, here's what happens, right? When you come onto here and you click on this land, right? You can see that Katsy, what nice picture, by the way, very cool, was lucky enough to get furiously fast, and the Queen Petunia and the Baby Yorg and the Dibbles Bubble, and also one NFT land asset. So when you buy it as a premium land, you're buying two things, right? You're buying the location and you're buying the fact that it is a bundle that included these premium assets. However, if somebody was selling this later on OpenSea.io, there's no technical reason why they have to sell it with the assets, and you don't automatically get them. So if you're buying it on a third-party market, make sure that when you're looking at that third-party market, you see all of the assets there that you want to buy. Some people will sell that, and they'll sell it as a premium land because that's what you read when you click on it or whatever. But it doesn't necessarily have to come with those assets. So you should see it on that OpenSea transaction or any other third-party market. I know that we opened a new third-party market in Japan just today in a partnership. So if you see it on a third-party market, then make sure that it includes all the assets you're willing to pay for, and that you're comfortable paying the amount that it is for what's there. Let's see here. Super Drolam, you asked, is it for free now, everything? The answer is no, but depends on what you mean, what you want. You can design assets right now with VoxEdit for free. So when you go back to the shop over here, and you're looking at the shop and you're seeing these assets, right? There, you can design assets just like this with VoxEdit and get ready to publish them on the marketplace. And it doesn't cost you anything to design them. And there'd be a really minimal sand fee for you to be able to sell them and make money, like actually earn sand. Just download the client. It's right here, right on the create button. You can get it right now. And in terms of what the map, what we're doing on the map, we are selling land, which is essentially a space to publish your games or publish your NFTs in later down the road. So if you are interested in doing that, buying land, not free, no. However, it's pretty reasonable for what it is. When I first got into the Sandbox, when I was first interested in it, before I was a member of the team, I looked at land kind of like a video game. Even though it's meant to be for designing video games, I thought, like, geez, this is only, at most $48 to buy it in a pre-sale like this. Right now it's $43.20. And later on down the road, like, I truly own this land, and I have the ability to, if I, don't like the games that I'm making, or I don't like the process over time, I could always sell it in the same way that, like, when I go out and buy a copy of Final Fantasy VII, I can go sell that physical disc at a used game store or something like that. And maybe even more compelling is that the land in the Sandbox almost never sells for less than what it costs here today. It's very, very compelling in that way. So that's an interesting thing to think about. Go here. The next sale going to be a different Care Bear. Argub, if you're still with us here, each one of these individual land plots actually had different Care Bears on them, and you may not have noticed. So in the hype and hysteria and like wanting to collect all that you can, it's not actually a random roll. When you click on any one of these, it tells you very clearly, like, you're getting Grooving Good, right? You're getting Hero Cheer Bear, right? You know what you're getting. But most often people are just like, click, click, I gotta get it, oh geez, and they don't pay attention to that. So yeah, there are other Care Bears out there, and they will continue to be doing that. Okay, Jaspire says, so where are my NFTs stored, on the website or in my wallet that is connected? The answer to that is always in your wallet. Every NFT that you get, every ERC token that you get, whether it's an ERC20 token, like the cash that is sand, or it's an NFT token, which is ERC721 or 1155, technology, those are all based on Ethereum tech, and they're stored in your wallet. In fact, everything that you see on the website at sandbox.game, when you're signed in, even the balance that you see in the top right, that's never actually stored on the Sandbox website. That's only stored on the blockchain. And the Sandbox website is reading your wallet with your permission. When you get that pop-up and you say, yes, go ahead and read my wallet, you're giving it permission to read your wallet. So all those assets are stored, were never stored on the website directly. The website was just a portal for you to process your transaction on chain, and you're doing everything on and the website reads it and reflects it. That's why when you saw those transactions process and all these squares turned green, that was just the website reflecting what is happening on the blockchain. Let's see here. Please advise that I'm using Firefox. Should I switch to Chrome? Haven't been able to get an estate. Been trying for 2 days. Hamid, the best answer that I have for that is it's been, as far as I could tell, user to user. I have had a better experience using the Brave browser. Firefox, Chrome, and Brave are all built on the same base technology called Chromium. And so I have heard from some users that there is an option in Chrome, or Firefox, I imagine, also has it. Brave probably also has it. I haven't looked into it. But it has this option where you can make it so the images don't show. And that might help you load faster. I don't know how it would affect the way that the map renders. And our design team has definitely not, I would assume, taken that into consideration. However, if that helps you, maybe that helps things load a little better. You can get your piece of land. But I don't know exactly that. Let's see here. The plot of land, confused about the assets. I've clicked on plus. It's added to the inventory, but I don't need money for it. So basically, it's only a mock-up for VoxEdit. Okay, yeah, Super Drolem. I did answer that a little bit ago, but I'm going to go over it again really quickly. All the things that are in the shop that don't have a price, that are listed as like assets, if you click on the shop tab here on the left, those things that are listed there as assets that look like avatars and characters are for you to use if you have Game Maker Early Access right now. They're free to be imported into your Game Maker so that you can design a game world. Later on, I don't know if they're going to have a cost or anything like that, but for now, while we're testing the Game Maker and we want to make sure that it works very well for people, for now they're free to use. So let's see here. Sorry, Hamid, I'm just scrolling down through the chat. I noticed now that you said why my question goes unanswered, and I apologize. So hopefully you were still here when I did answer that. I just have a lot of questions that have popped up from chats all over, right? I see you're on YouTube, and we've got people on Periscope and people on Twitch TV and other outlets as well. So I answer them kind of in the order that they come in there, but definitely here for you. Do you get to keep them, Trevor? I don't know. Honestly, and I apologize for that. Right now, in the development process, we're so focused on making sure that people have a fully functional product when it releases that we haven't really gotten through the semantics. What I would imagine would create a good experience is that at least some of these assets are provided for free long term. Almost all the assets that are available on the marketplace right now that you can click the little plus on are designed by people who work for the Sandbox properly. So those assets ideally would be free, but I don't know the true answer to that question and wouldn't propose to know right now. But yeah, so well, I made it to the bottom. Look at that. Wow, I'm in real time again. That's crazy. That's great. So yeah, we've got a lot going on. It looks like right now, if we're looking at the map with me, there's just 3 spaces that are booked and are not paid for. Small chance again that those kind of re-unlock. Wow, my clicking is a little bit off there, but a couple of bookings, not necessarily confirmations at this time. So yeah, that's great. And if you're watching now and you're liking what you're seeing, or like the conversation that we have, Alex and I have these conversations regularly. where we talk to users about how to design their games, what they're making. They have questions for us, and we do it every Wednesday and every Saturday. We have announcements for when those times are in GMT, available on Twitter at the Sandbox Game. So if you want to see more about the game maker, or you want to see more about VoxEdit, follow that there, or on the platform that you're watching on right now, whether it's Periscope or Twitch or YouTube. If you hit follow on that platform, when we go live, you will know, and then you can watch us work live with that game maker. A couple of weeks back, we created an environment where like some skeletons would spawn throughout the map, in the same way that like the old Gauntlet games worked, and you could smash through them and try to get rid of their spawner, and there were multiples of those around the map. At the same time, those skeletons had a goal to try to go to these like coins and collect the coins before we could get them. And so it was like a two-part objective where you were trying to collect X number of coins, and we coded the whole thing within an hour in the visual coder, so you didn't actually have to know how to do coding in order to be able to make a game. If you want to see how that works and you're watching, please follow, and then you can see us do that. Day now is Wednesday, so that the next live stream, if I know my math right, when Alex will be up, awake, and ready to go, is going to be in about 3.5 hours from now. If you're watching now and you're available in 3.5 hours, you want to come back. On Wednesdays, we do a lot of different stuff. So, let's see. Does the next wave start in 6 hours or 1 day when the timer says? The next wave starts in right exactly when the timer hits 0. Are we charged for clicking on the land even if it's sold? I'm 7,000 sand less, but no assets bought. How is this possible? If you're 7,000 sand less, then you should have bought an asset. I'd be very interested to see that transaction. So if you can send screenshots of that on our Telegram chat, then I can try to troubleshoot it with you to see where those assets are. You're probably not going to see it in your wallet just straight away. However, if you are on the map on sandbox.game while you're signed in, you may see that one of those lands out there, 7,000, makes me think you bought an estate, right? Is that right? Could be wrong. But if you're 7,000 sand short and you were able to pick up an estate for that price today, then you would have one of these tiles be red. Hi, how do I book? I know they're all gone now, but didn't know what to do at the time. Jade, hey, that's great. It's good to hear that you have enough sand. I want to make sure that before tomorrow's sale, make sure you have a little bit of Ethereum as well as your sand, because all of these transactions process on the blockchain. That means that if you're not familiar with it, that you will pay a person with a computer like this a very small portion of money to process your transaction at a decentralized processing system all around the world, right? So if I'm getting a bunch of DMs now. 1 second, I gotta mute this, and I will address this as soon as I can. Right now I'm on the stream, so mute that. Sorry about that. I'll get to you if you're watching as soon as possible. Crypto, I don't know if that's you. If it's you, I swear I hear it. You can hear me hear it, and I see it. But I got to make sure that I stay here for the next 30 minutes, and then I can address that directly. So yeah, if you want to do a booking, how it'll work, essentially. And we actually have an article on the Medium right now. So if you go to medium.com/sandbox-game, you can find this. This is how to buy a land in the sandbox. So you can find it detailed. But essentially, when these lands unlock, and I don't know if you were here, send the ether to the same wallet? Yes, absolutely, you do. You click on one of these lands, right? And it'll give you this pop-up that you see on the screen. And then there's a blue buy button. And you click the blue buy button. And then there may be a confirmation buy button. I don't recall from when I bought yesterday, because I was super excited, super hype, and I was click. I've done this like lot of rounds so far. I've been here since Presale 1, and I missed Presale 1 actually, and my first buy was in Presale 2 where I made all my mistakes, right? So I try to help people not make those same mistakes. now, especially as I work for the Sandbox. So when you click on this buy button and you click another buy button, then your wallet gives you a pop-up and it says, hey, this is going to cost you such and such in sand, and it's going to cost you this much in gas for Ethereum fees. And you click yes if you're willing to accept that, and then the process will start going on the blockchain. So pretty straightforward. You just have to make sure that before the map goes live, you're signed in, that you have the right amount in your wallet, all that stuff, and that's literally all that there is to it. After you do that, you'll notice that all the tiles will probably be purple at that time. If you're like everyone else, you will have booked, but not necessarily had your payment actually processed on the blockchain yet. The transaction takes a little bit to go out to the internet on this decentralized processing system that Ethereum works on. Once that transaction processes, your tile will turn green like they are now, right? So if you're with us live next week, you'll notice that I highlight this a bunch of times, that they're not officially sold until they're green. And I say that because sometimes people will overbook, like they'll try to buy a bunch, but then it turns out they didn't have enough money in their wallet to do it. So if that's the case, then the tile will turn back to whatever color it was, whether it be a premium land that turns back to yellow or a regular land that turns back to gray, and it allows another user the opportunity to book at that time. So if you had a lack of Ether, that could have prevented you from having a buy button, but you also don't have a buy button if it was already booked by someone else. So if it was purple color and you clicked it, then someone else had already clicked it. They already had the buy button, right? And they clicked that buy button. But if it was gray or yellow in the case of a premium land, they would have been yellow. Then you could have clicked it there. Let's see. With all lots selling out within approximately 30 seconds, do you have any advice for gamers who are unable to secure a piece of land? Okay, Gamma, there's a couple of things you can do. First off, and I mentioned this live a little bit early, like maybe like right as soon as they were selling or something like that. The advice that I would have first is that there are definitely more land sales, right? On the map here, when you scroll up to the top, you'll notice there's not a ton of borders. So this was our Presale 4.1 land. And in Presale 4.1, we offered a whole lot more lands all at the same time, right? And the reason why we did this was because of situations like this one that we're in right now, where a lot of people like are all wanting to get it at the exact same moment, and they sell out super fast, and you're thinking like, oh geez, why would you do that, right? So we offer on some of our pre-sales larger amounts of land all at once. And we do that so that you have an opportunity to buy. And then for the other folks who maybe couldn't be here because they had to go to work at one time of day, or maybe they're sleeping at that time of day, right? We offer land sales like these right now, where in this land sale, today's sale, you'll notice that the next wave will start in 1 day, 1 hour, 22 minutes from now. That means that for me personally, this land sale started at 6 a.m. Maybe that's too early for some people, right? So tomorrow's land sale starts at 8 a.m. for my local time. Or the land sale that comes the day after happens at 10 a.m. my local time. So in this particular land sale in 4.2, we're trying to accommodate people who maybe couldn't be there because they had to go to work or they were asleep during that hour, and get these in different time blocks. Even though it's less land all at once, it's still the same amount of land that we sold up here in this block, but it's happening over 4 days, so that different people have an opportunity to buy and not just catering to, say, maybe Europe or Asia or something US, you know what I mean? So we have a different time blocks for these sales. When it comes down to here, you can see there's actually a lot more land for the pre-sale 4 group. And what that means is that you're getting a 10% discount off of the purchase of land. So there's going to be more opportunities to buy. If you miss it during any of these land sales over the next week, there definitely are more chances. Separate from all that, if you don't want to have to think about all that, you can always purchase land on a third-party market. Some of these folks who are buying in these pre-sales aren't necessarily trying to buy to get all this land. And if you're doing that, if you're buying on a third-party market, there's one that I have used in the past called OpenSea.io, right? And over there, right now, I would expect that the price of a land on OpenSea is more expensive than what it would have cost today, right? But I have seen in the past, like last March, in previous land sales before these, we were selling the land in exchange for Ethereum instead of sand. And in the past, in last March, the price of Ethereum over the course of a week dumped from like $300 down to 130 or something like that, which consequently made all of the land that was for sale on OpenSea super cheap, right? And that was one of the very rare times, but it does happen, where the price of land on OpenSea was actually cheaper than what you could buy it at a presale. So there's going to be some opportunities for sure to get it in a lot of different ways. But land is definitely not sold out. If I zoom out on the big map over here, right, you see all this gray space with the little tiny squares on it? Little tiny squares? That gray space is still going to be for sale. If you missed it today, if you happen to miss all of the pre-sale for sales somehow, if you don't want to get it on OpenSea, those lands are going to open up. And we expect to sell the rest of them in Q4. Maybe not all of them immediately, but there's like 80,000 lands out there beyond the pre-sale for sale. Pre-sale 4, all this total that has this white outline over here, right? That's 18,000 lands. What you saw today was about 1,000. So a lot of opportunity to get lands as you go forward. Let's see here. Okay, it says I had the funds available to buy an estate, but when I clicked an estate to buy, it seemed delayed when it was loading the buy section. Thought it might have been because someone had it already. I chose just a small parcel instead, but that also delayed. But I waited and eventually the buy button appeared. That's a good point, right? One thing that happened right as soon as the land sale opened, and frankly, this is true with anything that involves the internet. When I was looking at metrics of this, and I mentioned earlier in the stream, I was looking at metrics of this sent by our marketing team from yesterday's event. We had like 300,000 page loads, something to that effect. A lot. There's a lot of people interested, right? So if that happens to be what happens when the timer hits 0, right? Everybody has to load the tiles. There's going to be a little bit of lag. And we're distributing that to, thousands and thousands of people all over the world, that data. So, what you can expect, what I would recommend is just to be clicked on the one that you want and be patient and wait for the loading bar to happen, because everybody is getting served that all at the same time. In terms of relativity, I mentioned this as well a few times in the stream. I believe that our team has done a fantastic job of making sure that the website operates as expected. And the reason why I say that is because I've currently played a game today that has been out for weeks called Among Us. Super fun game. It's a little inexpensive $5, find out who's the criminal kind of game, right? And weeks after their launch, I still can't get a server. Like, I was up there for an hour, right? And so for us, relatively speaking, a 10 to 30 second load time to see that wheel spin, and you see that with thousands and thousands of users concurrently trying to get it, that's really good. So, all right. It is now 6:42 a.m. and I imagine that you've got some questions. I know that there, as you heard earlier, I've got some dings over there on my Telegram chat, and so I want to help some people. Crypto holder, if you're still here. Oh, 700 sand. Okay, yeah, very good. If you want to explore the details of that, then let me know. Let me know, because I have a feeling that, let me see, 906 sand, that's kind of a small amount. It may be that you approved the transaction on chain and that it paid in sand because you didn't have ETH available. And that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you get the transaction on chain. It's kind of a flaw in blockchain technology at its base. One of the very few that are out there for that. But I'd like to explore that with you. If you hit me up on Telegram chat, I'll be in there. And guys, later today,